Hey, hello everyone. My name is Kiran Sahu, and today we are going to talk about a topic which is one of the buzzwords in the IT industry: test automation. Automation testing has been one of the most talked about topics in the present times, and there is a lot to talk about on this particular topic, but we'll try and dive into the major aspects of it today. So let's begin and see what we have to discuss. We will begin with the agenda for the presentation. First of all, here we go. So today we'll discuss what is test automation, and we'll see how testing has evolved over the time, evolution of testing. Then we'll also talk about benefits of test automation, risk and challenges of it, and we'll also discuss some of the automation frameworks and how it is important for setting up automation. And we'll also discuss about the present ongoing topic of ChatGPT and how ChatGPT is helping automation testing. So let's begin from here. What is test automation? Now, automation testing is a process in which we are using some automation tool to test. So we have minimal or no human intervention here, and there are specified tools which is doing the activity of testing of any application. Now we can see that there's a lot of steps which we have to follow to complete a testing of the software, but at the same time how it is different from the manual testing. What is manual testing? So we have to talk a bit about it to understand the difference, and then what exactly automation testing mean. Now, in manual testing, we used to perform testing without any tool, and we had tedious, huge test suites which we had to execute manually. Now, this would take a lot of time in case of repeated activities like regression testing. So, the need of automation was there, and automation has taken over and is the necessity now. It's not that manual testing will not be required or we are not going to do manual testing anymore. It's never the situation, but automation has become it's a big requirement in all the softwares which is being tested. So we can see the process, like we first of all plan our automation, what all we can automate, the scope we decide, and then we create the test scripts and test cases using any one of the automation tools. Then we build our test cases using different build tools. Then we execute and test. Then we release the test suite, and then we deploy it onto any of the servers, and then we operate, and then we monitor. So this is a high level overview of what all steps our test suite go through, or how do we actually perform the automation. Let's move forward and dive more into the aspects of this topic. So we'll talk about the evolution of testing. So how software testing has evolved over the years. So initially, long back in 1980s, we used to do only manual testing. There was no automation. So all activities were being performed only by humans. Then there were bulky automation tools came in the market, which were very heavy, and which would be very slow in terms of automation, or writing the code or executing the code. But over the time there were improvements in around 2000, and we had robust automation tools which were also open source, so people could use tools for free, and that's where the automation boomed, and people started exploring this section of testing and trying out automation. Then with more advancements in the industry, there were more scalable tools and different frameworks which were very innovative and at the same time very useful. So more scalable and frameworks came in 2010 to 2018 era. And now we all have seen how AI and ML has taken over, and automation based on these techniques is going to be the future of the testing industry. So this is growth chart of how testing has evolved over the years, and how automation has become so important, and how automation is helping everybody around work more efficiently. So this is about the evolution of testing over the years. We'll also talk about what all different types of automation testing we are doing. So we are performing different types of testing in the softwares, but where automation testing is useful is, first of all, it's regression testing. Regression is an activity which is very repetitive and ongoing in the entire test cycle. So regression testing is one of the most used automation testing type. And then we can do automation in when we are doing unit testing, when we are doing smoke test cases, when we are testing or executing the smoke test cases. It's very useful. API and integration testing as well can be done using automation tools. UI testing can be done using automation, of course. We can test all different changes in the UI, whatever new, as the entire software keep on updating with new requirements and changes. So we can do UI testing. Security testing can be done using automation tools. Performance testing, how efficient is the server responding to different load conditions, can be done using automation testing. Then UAT, acceptance testing, can also be done using automation test tools. So these are the types of automation testing which can be performed using automation tools. Now, this is the process as we first analyze. As I already discussed in the previous slide, but here's a better diagram to represent that. And then we recruit for or train people, as in if we need automation engineers who has the skill to develop the automation suite. And then there is tool selection. Which tool exactly to select based on various factors. This can be based on what kind of projects we are working, which domain it is being used for, what skill sets we are having with us in the company, or is it an open source tool or a paid tool, or what language the project will be compatible with. So accordingly we'll choose the automation tool as well. So there's a lot of aspects which we have to keep in mind when we are automating. Then automation testing framework development, then the entire framework is developed, which we will be discussing in the upcoming slides. So how and what a framework is, and how do we actually create the skeleton and then start working on writing the automation test cases. Then the script writing, exact script writing, and after that when we execute, then we create reports that how many test cases fail, how many test cases passed, and finally we have to also maintain the script. So maintenance of script is yet another factor, and at the same time a challenge in the automation industry. Let's move forward. Here are some of the popular automation testing tools in the market. We can clearly see Selenium, Cypress, Lambda Test, SOAP UI, Postman, JMeter for different types of testing. So these are the tools which are being used in the automation industry. Now let's talk about benefits of test automation. So we have already discussed about automation booming in the industry, and there is a lot of benefits of automation, but we should also focus on what all benefits automation is actually providing. So of course we have reduced utilization of the manual resources, so they can be put into different work now, and we have less of manual testers required. So they can be trained to become automation testers, or they can be put on different projects. So reduced utilization is one of the benefits, and at the same time efficient use of scarce hardware resources. So since there is scarcity of equipments sometimes, so in that case we have automation which makes the entire process efficient. The word efficient in itself means doing more in less time. So we are making the utilization of the time and at the same time the resources in terms of hardware, software, and our environments which we are having. So we can utilize everything to the most efficient level. And then there is reduced test cycle time. The test cycle let's say we have some 10 days to finish off one build testing. So if we have automation in place, we will certainly need less time for execution. Of course, the test case creation will take some time, but the execution time will be saved to a great extent, and that's where we can reduce the test cycle timing, thereby saving a lot of time, isn't it? Now, reduce cost of testing, because the initial cost is okay high in terms of setting up the test suite in place, but at the same time, as I already said, the execution time is saved a lot. Reliability is high because there's no chances of human errors, and then whenever we have repeatable tests, we have huge tedious test suite, then automation can always be more interesting to work on. Then improve test coverage, very important. The test coverage is a big topic of concern in most of the projects, because we need to have 100% test coverage. Test coverage means if we have 1,000 test cases and if we have 1,000 requirements, how many requirements we are able to test, and for how many requirements we have test cases. So that has to be maximum to the it has to be 100% as an ideal case scenario. So to increase the test coverage, test automation is one of the core way to do it. So these are all the benefits of test automation. We'll move forward and talk about the risks and cons of automation as well. Now, significant investment. Automation, all the automation tools are not open source. We might have to pay for the tools, and at the same time we might have to pay for the dedicated servers or the virtual machines where we will be executing the automation suites or monitoring our run. So, and the automation engineers will come at a cost. So significant investment, certainly. Maintenance of the code is a very big challenge, risk and con, and factor to be looked onto always. So maintenance of code means, suppose the automation is majorly works on a process that we have a web page, let's say, and there are web elements on the page. So if there is locators to those elements, there are ways to locate elements, and then we go there and perform actions using our mouse or keyboard. So that's how things are automated. Anyways, so maintenance means if there is a change in the UI or the design, we need to maintain our code as well, that it should not fail. The locations might change, so our code should not fail. So maintenance is that factor. Then not as robust, error detection and cannot think can be summed up in a single conversation, where it means that automation cannot think on its own. It only does what we have already asked it to do. So we have to write code which is we have to understand that automation cannot solve problems or find out errors on its own. So we have to instruct them accordingly. So till here, where the automation tools are currently in the market. So we're talking about that. So these are risks and cons which majorly automation testing has, and people are working upon improving them. So let's move forward and see what's more we have here. So challenges, if we discuss more on the challenges. So complete test coverage. So we as an automation automation engineers are expected to give 100% test coverage. So that can be a challenge sometimes, as in if we are not able to automate everything, what can be done. So these are all topics which needs a lot of understanding, and then the process can be defined accordingly. High quality testing. So automation suite has to be very accurate. As I said, it cannot think on its own. So we have to make the test cases as robust as possible, and should be able to be the test suite should be very much reliable, as in it should find out the maximum bugs possible or whatever issues might appear. Now, new technology. So as we are seeing so much enhancement in the industry, new tools are coming up, new technologies coming up. Are we able to cope up with the enhancements? Are we able to skill our workforce to all the enhancement and coming up? So new technology is yet another challenge in the industry. Return on investment, ROI, yes. So if you're putting in time for automating, are we able to meet the ROI? So if we have given some time, is it saving our resources? Is it saving our time later on when we're executing? So to calculate the return on investment before starting to automate is important. and should be taken care of. Let's talk about automation frameworks. So we all know that there are various types of framework which is followed in the industry, and automation frameworks are very useful and helpful to set up our entire suite in place, and so it provides us a process so that we can obtain the maximum quality possible. Now, we can also have a centralized automation implementation. So suppose 10 engineers are working in the same project. So it provides us a repository platform wherein everybody can work on the same piece of code using different version control tool like Git or SVN. And we have different build tools like Maven and Gradle, which can be used in case of if you're using Java as the language. In case of programming language based tools, we can easily have a build process in which it can be used to build as per the releases and then come up with the test reports, right? So that's about the introduction of framework. Now, if we talk about what all features, we have already said that it is easy to debug and also maintain our code. We take less time for large suites, and the script execution we can do on multiple environments. So suppose we have one framework in place and we want to run it on different browsers, so on different devices or different operating systems. So everything is possible using the framework in place. And of course, it is easy and fast and efficient. Now, if you talk about the benefits, what benefit actually test frameworks provide? So it provides us a standard process in place and also high quality of automation with low cost. So these are the two aspects. And then if we go down further, we can see in case of standard process of automation, it is free from the dependencies. So if suppose, let's say if you're writing individual pieces of code, everybody has to add their own jar files in their projects, and everybody has to maintain their own codes. But if you have a framework in place, there's no need to add separate jar files. Everybody can work together using one setup. They can exchange codes, pull the code from the master repository and use it. Now, if you talk about the types, we have data-driven framework in place, hybrid, keyword-driven, and modular framework. Data-driven framework is a framework which works on the concept of data. Data is leading the automation. We have external files where the data is saved, and using data-driven framework, we can fetch the data from the external files and use it in our test suite. Same in the keyword, we have key value pair concept, and we can utilize it to create our own whole framework. And hybrid is a combination of all different kinds of frameworks available. Now we want to take a look onto an insight onto how the low code and no code tools are being used in test automation and what are the benefits of it. Now, we have seen that over the years, there's a gap because of the skill sets of the engineers and the automation testing in the projects. So this gap can be bridged or can be resolved, and we can have more automation and more test coverage by using no-code, low-code test automation. Now, how the no-code, low-code test automation bridges the gap? So majorly, if the problem of reading somebody else's code, understanding the code is removed here. At the same time, if we have people having lesser knowledge on the coding, then low-code, no-code tool can be a huge benefit in bringing in automation in place, and we can have more number of test cases automated, and we can have test automation for more number of projects in the market. A lot of time is saved, which we invest in maintaining the codes in other tools. So here people can come up with more innovative test cases and can focus more on testing than actually just maintaining the code because of the code changes, because of the UI changes. Now let's also talk about how ChatGPT is useful in our test automation. So of course it can create test cases easily. So we have seen how ChatGPT has been so useful over the few months, and we can see that it can be used for generating test cases. So we can clearly ask any scenario, and test cases are developed using ChatGPT. So it can be manual test cases. Now we can also generate code because it is using the natural language processing, NLP. So we can also ask ChatGPT to write code for us. So that's how useful ChatGPT can be in automation also. Now code review assistance, so we can ask ChatGPT to review the code which we have written or which we have created, and then we can get any issues, or we can get how we can optimize it more, and other suggestions from ChatGPT. Test data generation, yes, we can generate as many test data as we want. Let's say we want some valid email addresses, we can ask it to generate that, and there are various different test data required for test case design techniques. So when we are actually testing using let's say boundary value analysis or equivalence partitioning, so in that case ChatGPT can be very useful. Then we have test documentation. Of course, we invest a lot of time documenting, so where ChatGPT can be saving us some of our time by creating proper documentation. Now some more use cases are like test script maintenance, if you want to maintain the scripts, if you want to debug, if you want assistance in the debugging, so of course ChatGPT can be useful. Result analysis, so if there's a test report, so we can analyze using the ChatGPT. Now I'll also talk about some of the challenges. Accuracy limitation. Yes, we cannot just rely completely on ChatGPT that all the answers which ChatGPT will come back with will have accurate answers. Sometimes it might give us some error results as well. Modal biases, because it is based on the ML, machine learning, it can be biased on certain situations. We cannot always rely on the answers, as I said in the previous top pointer. So there can be biases. Now integration complexity, we cannot integrate ChatGPT to our automation suite. It can become really complex in that case. Intellectual property concerns, because ChatGPT won't be able to find out if it is providing us some data, and if it is violating any of the intellectual property concern, so properties, then it will be very troublesome. So that is one of the challenges when we're using or relying completely on ChatGPT. And ChatGPT results will always be dependent on external factors. So if there is an API integration and we need stable internet connections, so any external factors can be ChatGPT usage of ChatGPT can be dependent on many external factors. So these are all challenges of using ChatGPT in test automation. So that's all for the topic for today. Hope you got some insight on what test automation is, how it is beneficial, what all challenges we are facing in the industry, what automation framework mean, and how can we use it to the best. Then how no code low code tools have come up in the market, and how ChatGPT can be used in the test automation. So that's all for today. Thank you everyone for watching.